Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. How to create passive income through real estate investment. My guest expert today, Arbi, found his passion for real estate in 2002, combined with solving real estate problems. He melded his two passions, and it was brought so much joy to his life, along with blessings to those in need. He has helped people in all sorts of situations, such as job loss, divorce, over-leverage, tired landlords, problem tenants, to get to a fast and fair cash offer and move on with their lives. Arbi, tell us, you got into real estate in 2002. That's quite recent.
Yes. Well, first, thank you for the opportunity to be on your show.
No problem. Thanks for being here. How did you get into this, and why has it worked for you, and why does it work for passive income? I know that's 3 questions in one, but...
It's all right. The way I started was when I was in my teens. My parents, in the 90s, actually, my parents bought their first house, and they, it was for them. It was something wonderful. Everybody wants to buy a house. They purchased it, and as everybody has ups and downs with their mortgage, and my parents, like every other homeowner, fell behind. But there was a language barrier, so they weren't able to understand what they have to do or what they need to do to be able to save their home.
Yeah.
And so,
where did your parents come from?
We're Armenian, so we're from by Russia.
Okay.
So I kind of started taking over them talking to lenders and trying to resolve their payments that they were behind. But I didn't understand most of the lending questions or the lending phrases or information that they were providing. So I had to start learning and educating myself on what the terminology was.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, a few years, I learned as I spoke with them. I did my own research. And by 2000, I fixed my parents' issue. They saved their house. I was able to rent it out to a tenant for my parents. And by 2000, I was pretty much learned most of the real estate things that people utilize in real estate, like comps, escrow, basically the common process of a real estate transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that, this is something that I love to do. It's always something different. It's one of the biggest purchases that people do.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that don't know the process and feel like everybody is trying to undermine their property because it's so valuable, just like my parents.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start helping people out in they run into this situation, which is the divorce, probate, or people like my parents who just didn't understand how to save their house if they were behind months, few months or longer.
And Arbi, it's quite a common problem for a lot of people.
It is. It's normal. So if anybody thinks that they've been in it, everybody's been in it, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It does happen. It's very stressful, and that's where I feel like if I'm able to give two of my 2 cents into helping them out, they would be 2 steps ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So in the midst, I felt that, okay, in order for me to be able to help people out in their process of saving their home, I would need capital.
Yeah.
So I started a business with a few partners of mine in early 2000. And it was a computer company. So I saved up enough capital by 2008, I had sufficient amount of capital to be able to actually step into the real estate and be able to help families, which was the actual time of the recession that happened in 2008.
Yes.
So everybody was losing their house. They were having, due to the job loss, divorces skyrocketed. People started losing their house. People started, falling behind. Now, I would come in and I would purchase their house in order for them to save whatever else is left in the house. Either I would buy from them, they would stay there and they become tenants, or I would try to resolve it so they don't even have to file bankruptcy. They don't have to lose their house to the bank. So they would be able to take at least whatever equity is left in the house and move on. This way, they don't mess up their credit. They don't have to spend more money on paying back the bank. They don't have any liens on the property. So these are all benefits. Now, I may purchase the house, but it relieved a lot of stress that they would have had if I didn't walk into their life.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do, upon me purchasing the property, I would fix them up, and then I would keep them and rent them out. Yeah. Now, this is how you normally build a portfolio, is by purchasing properties from families that are going to lose the house. It's either they lose the house through the bank and hire lawyers, or they just sell. I buy from them and I pay for everything, the closing costs. I could even pay for their move. So if they have to move somewhere else, I'll also help them out with that. So I'm not going to basically buy it and say, there's the door. I would help them out just for them to make sure they have another place to go.
And when you're buying the house, the house is worth a certain amount of money. Are you buying that for a loss to them? Or are you equaling their mortgage, or it depends on the conversation?
No, they would have to call the bank, and we would have to figure out either it becomes a short sale, which would be obviously less than what the actual value would be. Yeah. If they have a good amount of mortgage where there's still equity in them, I would pay for the mortgage off and then give them more equity that they're still holding on to, which if I didn't come in, they would have lost that too.
Okay. Yeah.
So
go on.
Go ahead.
And how as an investor, passive income, you're working hard there, right? So how passive is it?
Passive meaning it's every property that brings in revenue. It's one stream of revenue. Every other house you buy, it becomes another revenue. So you're having each house give you, $1,000 a month income. You have two houses, you have $2,000 income, and so on and so forth. And that's the passive. Is you don't really do anything. Your money is at work. All you just have to do is make sure that the tenants are paying on time. The property it's in good condition. It's good with the bank, and it'll give you money until you sell it.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Are you buying and selling as well as renting?
Yeah, some properties I would buy and fix and sell, and some I would buy and hold, depending on the neighborhood. So if the neighborhood is closer to schools, colleges, it's a safe area. The rents are higher, so those I would potentially keep.
Yeah. And how do you pick a property and know, like, the numbers are a big thing in this, right? You work in numbers, making sure this is actually going to pay itself. Like, what makes you choose a certain property over another?
I would look at the comparables. I would see how the market has gone up and down. We look at history to see what has the highest that's gone up. If generally when it's gone up to a particular number, is generally always going to go at least close to that number. It's never going to stay below. I also check to make sure that the walking distance, if there's a shopping centers there, if there's schools from kindergarten to high school, college, shopping centers, malls, all of these determine the quality of the property. Yeah. That's very important. Most people don't look at that. They just like the house. They say there's a potential. And you have to look at it if there's a future construction going to be happening there, if there's going to be more apartments, there's going to be jobs. Very important. You have to find out if they're building anything there that will increase jobs, where people will come in. That's kind of the gentrification that happens, is when there's something that gets built, new people come in and are willing to rent, and then the ones prior leave because they lost their job. So that's also very important.
And yeah, that makes sense. What about who's your ideal customer for your? Is it families? Is it young families? Is it like, and renting as well? I presume it depends on the worth of the property, or the area or whatever. How much the rent is, because rent goes up and down, as you know, and different localities are different. How do you make sure that isn't the income stream for that is going to be worth?
Well, to determine the rent, I do a comparables to see what people generally pay for that area.
Yeah.
And depending on what type of a neighborhood it is, if the income ratio there is $80,000 a year, then most people would be able to pay $2,000 to $2,500 a month. If an area only has an income base of $45,000, then obviously it would be less. So that's one way of determining what the rent would be. Then there are some areas that are low income, where there's the governmental aid that comes in, which also I'm okay with. I think those are those helping families out by giving them the opportunity to rent it to Section 8 or any other government aids that they provide. I try to make sure that the area is close to what most families require. They tend to stay longer. They tend to take care of the house more. I try to rent it out to families because they're a lot more. I'd rather help them out than people that are just coming through and going. Because that I have to fix the property again to rent it out again. So families is where I normally try, but in some scenarios, I have to accept what I have.
And are you investing just in the States, or do you do other countries?
No, right now I just do in the States. I haven't reached the point to be able to do out of country. But right now I'm working on more towards the East Coast, the southern areas, and Texas area. So.
And what about this is a business, right? And what about are you investing that money to grow, or like as creating your retirement or financial freedom? What's the long term? What does that look like?
The long term is obviously financial freedom. It's for me to be able to.
People say, I totally love what you're doing, and I can tell that it really works. But people say for creating a portfolio for financial freedom, whatever, we need to diversify, and you do stocks and you do real estate and you do gold and whatever. Mm-hmm. What does that look like to you?
It depends on how do you want to make your income. Any of those, if you do stocks, bonds, or gold, they all have a great return. Yeah. But those are generally based on stock market, on demand. So the less demand, the less it becomes. The more demand, the more it becomes. In real estate, it's always going to be in demand because people need to live somewhere. So you're looking at everyone. Everyone needs a place. In stocks, there's particular people that do stocks and there's particular people that don't. So you're looking more towards people who already have money to be able to invest. where in real estate, it's everyone. If you have money, if you don't have money, you have to rent or you have to buy. So the spread is a lot larger. So you could walk down the street and find almost everyone you talk to that way at some point want to move to another apartment or house or is planning on buying a house.
And if I wanted to do what you do and I want to invest in real estate and I want to start renting, what's the most important thing I do right now, or what's the first step?
The first step is to obviously to have a specific capital.
Yeah.
For you to be able to determine, okay, this is how much I have and this is how much I'm going to be spending. But before you go spend, you have to figure out, do you want to do it out of state? Do you want to do it in your backyard? Or at least the first one, do it in your backyard so you feel comfortable with it. Then you have to understand the cost of managing it. You do need to hire a managing company to manage it. You don't want to be the one that has to accept the cost at any given time. Yeah. You want to be able to learn the benefits and not overwhelm yourself where it makes you feel that it's not worth it if you do it wrong. Yeah. And then determine, do you want to do a single family home, which I don't recommend, but a lot of people at least do it for the first time. But I do recommend from at least 4 to 5 units. Yeah, this is 4 to 5 units. Yeah. And then wait a year or two when you become very knowledgeable or at least comfortable. Then you either buy a 8 unit or buy another 4 that makes it 8, and then sell those 4 buildings that total 8, and then go buy 1 8. In a few years, after you've learning more and more, you sell the 8, then you go buy 12 or 16. And then this way you're increasing your leverage. Yes. So if 2-3 people leave your property, you still have enough people to pay. If you have a house, you only have one person. So if they leave, you have to pay the mortgage. Yeah, so versus if a single family leaves, then you have nothing coming in. But if you have a 16 unit, if one leaves, the rest are paying, and that can always be like a revolving door. So they come and they go. Yeah. Exactly. And that's where a lot of people say, well, that's a lot of units. But if you hire a management company, which you should, just like you hire a realtor to do your paperwork because they know, you hire a mechanic, you hire a doctor. Yeah. These people, that's what they do. I could fix myself too, but do I trust myself to do it? Obviously not. So I would pay somebody to be able to determine if it's right for me. I don't say that every management company is great, but you have to do due diligence, just like any business that you were going to open. For anyone who's listening to this, what's that kind of one thing you want to leave them with? We've had an amazing conversation. Thank you. I would love, if you guys want to know more about the pros and cons of selling your house to a local or professional home buyer, there's a free guide that will kind of give you the step-by-step and kind of educate you on the real estate aspect of it. You could visit my website at www.webuyhouses.com/go/selling-to-a-professional. Or you could just go to my website at webuyhouses.com and you'll see a link where it'll take you to your book, which is in PDF format. And you'll get an email after you sign in. You'll get a PDF format for you to kind of, read about it and see, what options or availability that you could do. Thank you, Arbi, and thank you for being here. This has been amazing. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Lorna. Hey everyone, remember to join us in the Private Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group with me, your host, Lorna Poole. This is a safe haven of like-minded wealth-getting go-getters who, like you, are on their journey to creating financial freedom in their life. This is where you and I can get intimate. I can give you the support and guidance to go from where you are now to where you want to be, developing your wealth mindset and creating your financial freedom
life. Join at www.facebook.com/groups The Financial Freedom Podcast. You will see the links to this on the website. It's in the show notes, or type it into the Facebook group. All you have to type in is Financial Freedom Podcast and you will see us there. Look forward to seeing you in the group. Take care. Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 Steps to Breaking Free from Your Poverty Mindset and Accelerating Your Journey to Financial Freedom. See you there.